At this paper mill, a worker is working near the spinning rollers, where one small mistake could turn a routine task into a serious hazard. Never reach toward or place any part of your body near an active roller or in-running nip point. The only safe time to make an adjustment is after a full lockout tagout procedure. In this fabrication shop, an unsecured gas cylinder tips over, creating a serious safety hazard. Never leave a compressed gas cylinder standing unsecured. The valve assembly is the most fragile part of the tank, and a fall can snap it off. This releases immense pressure, causing the cylinder to move unpredictably and forcefully across the workspace. A gas cylinder stores a tremendous amount of kinetic energy. It must always be secured with a chain or in a proper cart, even when it appears empty. The protective cap must also be in place whenever it's not in use. At this auto shop, a mechanic works beneath a back-heavy truck that hasn't been properly balanced on the lift. Within seconds, the entire vehicle loses balance due to improper setup. Never attempt to lift a long wheelbase or back-heavy vehicle on a standard two-post lift. The vehicle's center of gravity sits far behind the lift's columns, creating an unstable lever effect. The lift arms aren't designed to handle this imbalance, making a loss of balance likely. A lift's capacity isn't only about total weight, it's also about balance. The vehicle's center of gravity must be positioned between the lift's columns for proper support. In this case, the wrong lift type was used for the truck's configuration, resulting in total imbalance. At this steel plant, a worker steps onto a large blue tarp, unaware it's only a thin cover hiding a massive open pit in the machinery below. An open access pit or gap on industrial equipment is a serious fall risk. Placing a non-rigid cover, like a tarp over it, doesn't protect anyone. It conceals the danger. This gives a false sense of safety and can cause serious injury. A tarp is a cover, not a floor. It hides the danger rather than prevents it. All access openings must be secured with rigid load-bearing covers or permanent guardrails. At this worksite, two workers are on the same extension ladder, which is dangerously and improperly based in the bed of a pickup truck. Never set a ladder on an unstable or unsecured surface such as a truck bed, and never allow more than one person on the ladder at a time. A ladder requires a solid level and fixed base to remain stable. Using a truck bed, which can move or bounce, creates a serious risk of slipping. A ladder is designed for one person at a time. Its load limit must never be exceeded, and the ground it rests on must be firm and secure. A truck bed offers none of these conditions. This wasn't an unpredictable event. It was an avoidable situation caused by ignoring the most basic safety rules. At this excavation site, an excavator drops a single, massive boulder into a small site dumper, overloading it and causing the machine to become unbalanced. Never exceed a machine's rated load capacity. A dumper is designed to carry evenly distributed material, not a single, concentrated load. Dropping a large, heavy object in one spot shifts the center of gravity and makes a loss of balance almost inevitable. A dumper's stability depends entirely on a level, compact surface. When placed on soft or sloped ground, the base can give way. Combined with an uneven load from above, it greatly increases the risk of rollover. Always load gradually and on firm terrain. In this narrow restaurant corridor, a worker carries an overloaded tray stacked high above his head. He's one slight misstep away from a major spill. An overloaded tray carried too high has a very unstable center of gravity. Any small shift in balance, a wet floor, or an obstacle can cause the entire load to tip suddenly. Always carry items at a safe height where you can see ahead, and never overload a tray or container beyond what you can control. Saving a few seconds by stacking too high isn't worth the potential for injury or damage. At this loading yard, a forklift operator drives forward with a massive load, blocking his entire view. Meanwhile, a pedestrian walks nearby without noticing the approaching forklift. A load that blocks an operator's forward view creates a serious blind spot. The risk becomes even higher when pedestrians aren't paying attention in high traffic areas. This combination creates a high collision risk. If your forward view is blocked, always travel in reverse. Pedestrians should always treat loading zones as high-risk areas and assume that operators might not see them. Situational awareness from both sides is essential for everyone's safety. At this canal, an excavator digs from a floating barge. The platform is unstable and it suddenly gives way, causing the deck to flood and the machine to tip. Never operate heavy machinery on a floating barge that isn't properly rated for the shifting weight. Barges are inherently unstable, and the motion of the machine can cause the center of gravity to move dangerously, increasing the chance of a breach or partial capsize. A floating platform's stability must never be assumed. It's a carefully engineered limit that depends on weight distribution and balance. The barge's load capacity and integrity must always be verified before any operation. A barge failure happens quickly, leaving little time to respond. At this construction site, a crane lifts a 500-kilogram crate of concrete slabs. A worker nearby stands within the operating zone as the rigging fails and the load descends unexpectedly. Never stand or walk within the working area of a suspended load. A crane's rigging and cables are under enormous tension, and even a small malfunction can cause the load to move suddenly. A suspended load is a suspended hazard. The best protection is distance. All workers must be clear of the working area before a lift begins. Personal protective gear offers limited protection from the impacts of large loads, so always maintain a safe distance and respect the lifting zone. At the back of this truck, a worker quickly tries to load equipment but accidentally presses the up button on the Liftgate remote in his hand, causing the platform to rise unexpectedly. Never position yourself in the path of a hydraulic liftgate while handling its remote control. The lift mechanism moves with great force and doesn't stop until the command ends. An accidental button press can cause the platform to move unexpectedly. The area around a liftgate is always an active machine zone. Always maintain awareness of your position and keep a safe distance while operating the remote. A worker stands on the mast of a forklift using it as a makeshift elevator, but this unsafe shortcut is about to go very wrong. This incident reveals two crucial lessons in forklift safety. First, using a forklift as a lift for people creates a dangerously high center of gravity, increasing the risk of a tip-over. Second, an operator's instinct to jump from a tipping forklift can actually make the situation worse, leaving them exposed to falling parts of the machine. A forklift must never be used to lift a person. That's rule number 1. For the operator, rule number 2 is just as important. If the machine begins to tip, stay in your seat. Brace yourself and lean away from the direction of the fall. The protective cage is built to keep you safe. Trust it. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.